Without any realization of equalness in its naturally occurring state, you may obsess on the word non-duality and place your confidence in some state that you speculate has no frame of reference whatsoever. This is truly a mistaken notion, the dark realm, in which awareness is not recognized. Therefore, it is in the naturally occurring state without transition or change that the most majestic perfection of goals is experienced as non-duality. The total freedom of the three realms, the ultimate meaning of the non-duality of samsara and nirvana, is the fortress of Dharmakaya, the nature of being that arises inherently from within, such that it is completely pure like space, yet is in fact beyond all metaphors. As long as you remain fixated on individual things, on this or that, you remain caught in dualism, the cage of confusion entailing self and other. When you make no biased distinction of this, everything is the same in the state of equalness, with no frame of reference. And so Vajrasattva declares non-duality is realized. This is the 8th section of the precious treasury of the basic space of phenomena, demonstrating a non-duality within awakened mind. Longchenpa, again the precious treasury of the basic space of phenomena. Now you really should get transmission of these texts that I read. What does that mean? It means that you're face to face, if possible. Sometimes these things can be done online. Okay, I'll lower my level a little bit there. So sometimes these things can be done online. I did take a Chud initiation, I think, through the Pure Land Center in somewhere around LA in the hills, north of there somewhere. So I took that online initiation, and it's legit. And I've taken online initiations in other forms over audio webcast, video webcast, and so forth. But what you really want to do is get in front of a teacher, a lama, as we say in the Tibetan system, which means teacher, or means guru in Sanskrit, which means teacher, somewhat, to us. Teacher in a very different and more intense and more personal and long-term, more meaningful, more important way than, say, your second grade teacher or your Spanish teacher. Joko Beck used to say life on life's terms, the only teacher, accepting life as it is, the only teacher. And so today we have this topic, life on life's terms. And let me read that A.A. Big Book quote. "And acceptance is the answer to all my problems today when I am disturbed." And I've always thought, well, I mean, when am I not disturbed? I'm a disturbed person. I've felt this since I first read this at age 22. It is, well, when I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some face of my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is. Now just pause right there, because in Dharma, see, this is what we're doing, as it is. If you read the 12-Step Buddhist, or if you read the 12-Step Buddhist, available Barnes & Noble, Powell's, Amazon, Walmart, get 2 copies, give 1 away, have a study group. Oh, if you have a study group right now, like someone just contacted me, I forget exactly where he is, somewhere, really different, like a lot of East Coast people, Midwest people, and so forth, contact me about, there's a Canada guy, my buddy Mike up there, heads up, peace out, what do I say? Shout out, that's what I'm saying. Shout out to Mike, who has the compassionate recovery groups. There's people in different places. So when someone contacts me and says, oh, hey, it's really a Facebook person, it's not a robot or, some spam thing or something, someone who stole my friend's account. There's a lot of people that show up as my friends who I already have them as friends, and I don't know what happened there. So I usually say, are you a real person? And I'm delighted to find out that not only are they a real person, but they actually are reading my books and doing a group. And I said, well, look, if y'all guys are doing a group, you got a men's group doing your group on the 12-Step Buddhist, let me send you some copies of Compassionate Recovery. I mean, I'm a poor artist, y'all. I need money. You can go to the podcast.compassionaterecovery.us website and donate. You can donate to the propane cause for the winter if you'd like, because I don't have it at this time. But, the deal is I'm on this mission. This message is so important. Compassionate recovery message is so important. It helped me understand my total situation as an addict in recovery, as a Buddhist in recovery. So it was a very, very useful step forward from the 12-step Buddhist. But this idea of as it is, being in the 12-step Buddhist as a way to turn it over, do a higher power of this moment is more than me. Like, this moment is enough. I don't even, I'm fighting this moment. I'm coloring it with thoughts. The Dharma says I'm obscuring it with a dualistic identity that isn't even real. It's a shimmering light on the lake at night from the moon and stars. So I'll continue. Some phase of my life, unacceptable to me, and I can find no serenity until I accept that person, etc., exactly the way it is. And it says supposed to be at this moment. Okay, so I don't know about supposed to be, because that sort of gives a karmic sort of justification, like a big God doing some plan, I have a very dear relative who sends me quotes every day that are one day at a time. And a lot of times the positive thinking stuff, I just think, God, the people in Ukraine, the people in Israel, the people in Gaza, do you know? Is it, if you tell somebody it's always going to turn out good because it's all God's wisdom, I don't know how I can, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to stretch that. But in the Dharma, see, when we look at not resisting anything in our experience at all, have an inhale. Fill it up nice and deep. Fill it up even more. Relax your throat. Open your mouth. Let it go without pushing, but let it go all the way. Before you breathe in, listen to your heartbeat. As it is. Acceptance. As it is. The connection between the AA Big Book and the Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche Dzogchen book, As It Is, there's a connection there. I'm trying to give you that connection. So you can practice really, really super deep Dharma inside this AA Big Book text. It's really what I've been doing. It's what I did in the 12-step Buddhist. It's what I do. It's how my mind works. Some people like that. They like to hear it. They like to read my books and stuff. So I'm glad you do, and I'm glad you're listening. This is what's happening today. Life on life's terms. Life as it is, not as I perceive it to be. Not as I experience it to be. Life without any coloration. Just think about that. It's just a blank open space, no color, no form, just pure awareness. Not undifferentiated awareness. I'm not, like Longchenpa says, I'm not trying to say this and that. Us and them. Me against you. Me against the universe. I am a me, and I have feelings and thoughts. In our Zen practice, in our mindfulness practice, in any kind of contemplation, meditative, mindful, reflective, it's all pointing to this non-dual wisdom. And it's really a Dharma feature that is not present in other systems. It's Buddhism. Just as it is, in this moment, have a nice deep inhale. And just let it all go and hang empty. Any of these therapies is going to ask you to look within and to try to understand. Any of these spiritual solutions are going to ask you to look within and try to understand. Any good advice from any recovery counselor or people who really care about you is trying to get you to understand some basic things. Quit fighting. Quit fighting everything and everyone. Until I could accept, I skipped a line. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. You could, interpret that in a dharmic, karmic way, in a dharma way, by just saying, okay, God's world or not God's world. You just say the world, this world, the world I'm living in. Nothing happens by mistake. It really is because there's a karmic cause preceding it. It's a much more sophisticated and refined and difficult understanding to have than, well, God wanted it that way. Okay, so that's a big difference here in the Dharma, between the Dharma and the big book. Here we're splitting hairs. This is precisely the thing to do, to have a correct understanding. Until I could accept my alcoholism, I could not stay sober. So that's our perfect example. And here we have it. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. AA Basic Text, page 417. That's Alcoholics Anonymous, big book. Okay, so let's take it back in here. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms. Life's terms means what's happening in our situation right now. This is the reality of what's coming at us. I've been dropped in a situation. I have karmic causes. I've put myself here somewhere, somehow, some way. I understand that as a Buddhist, but I'm still kind of dumbfounded and baffled how I wound up off-grid. And, this is really tough because the materialist in me needs these things. I experience it as an opportunity for practice, and I do as much practice as I possibly can. This morning I was in a session from Spain for Moscow students, and this was 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., and then I did another, our regular purification practices, did that at 10 a.m. for another hour. And, now I'm doing the podcast, which is part of my spiritual practice. I'll do another session, if not 2. Hopefully I can get 2 in today. But really, you guys, I've been trying to go on deep retreat, which means 4 2-hour sessions per day, which means that you have a regular schedule, wake up, do your breathing, do your meditation, stuff like that. And then, take care of yourself, and then eat something and come back and do a noon one, and then that's another hour and a half or 2 hours. You have your afternoon session, then you have your evening session. And, I kind of rise and shine with the sun more and more these days, especially when, there's a 360-degree view, pretty much, and there's nothing but sky. Well, as I've tried to share in some of my, in most, and it's why I read Longchenpa, and like I said, you should get a transmission from a Dzogchen teacher. I don't know so much about it, but you can try the Tara Mandala people in Colorado. I know something about that teacher and so forth. And you can go there and look for transmission from qualified masters on the ability to understand these profound instructions that I read at the beginning of each podcast. For a long time, I've been reading through the basic space of phenomena at the beginning, just a little bit at a time. I can only handle, that's as much as I can handle at a time. That book is a teaching, that book is a transmission, that book is a connection for me, to Longchenpa, who I bowed and prostrated to the Longchenpa Sacred Relics on the Sacred Relics Tour more than once, that Lama Zopa Rinpoche, God rest his soul, and I say that as a Buddhist, that was one of his missions. I have a very clear connection to this text, and this is the system within which I practice, and I understand that this is not everyone's understanding, so I'm trying to give you pointers and directions on where to go to deepen it. There are different instructors on the podcast.compassionaterecovery.us site. You can email me questions, info@compassionaterecovery.us. If you want help, if I can help you, I'm here to help you. Okay? Basically, what I'm trying to do is connect ideas, understand things, and how to apply it to my life. My life has been really, really difficult, but my attitude as a practitioner has not wavered. In fact, it's only deepened. It's like if you can imagine the Buddha sitting there with the statue, where the Buddha's got the one finger touching the earth, and in that moment, that groundedness of being, there's nothing that can disrupt or distract the Buddha mind. Have an inhale. Let your Buddha mind shine. Exhale. So what does it mean to accept life completely on life's terms? In the moment, this is what I'm being delivered. This is the situation. This is what my teacher said as work with circumstances. We must be present and we must be aware. If we are to find our Buddhist state and get there and refine it and stay in it and become totally liberated beings, look, y'all, I don't know what Dharma you listen to or follow. What I am telling you is that the purpose of the Dharma is to completely realize one's Buddha nature, is to completely free oneself from the trap, the ensnarement, which begins with the subject-object duality, which begins with that coloring of the basic space of phenomena. I'm not a master, I'm just a student. But I'm sharing with you. The Dharma isn't some BS. The Dharma isn't some temporary. The Dharma is a path to enlightenment, and we must understand that that is the core of the teaching. The point of the teaching, really the essential and only point of the teaching, is to become Buddha, awakened to our enlightened state. And there are paths, and there are paths. I'm sharing the path that I'm on with you because I've gone through them all. And in the course of a day, I work with all the different levels of a path. Sometimes I have to zip my lip and keep my mouth shut. That's the hardest one. Usually I'm trying to be, orient myself towards caring about someone if they really want to communicate with me on that level. Otherwise, shooting the breeze is fine. And, make a bunch of stupid jokes and whatever. Not super Buddhist. But, I'm kind of a character. And I don't know, that's how I relate in the world. Really, I just want to be a Dharma practitioner 24/7, and I just want to walk the earth and be in peace and spread love and joy and do good things. It's just that samsara is really, really rough. It's really kind of ripping me apart. So as we go down the bardo of birth, sickness, old age, and death into the bardo, the next bardo of death, and we go through these states, I don't know too many of us are really going to die peacefully in our sleep. There's a lot of stuff that can kill you. Just as Rabina would say, do your market research, read the paper, look and around you. And I don't know if I expect to die peacefully in my sleep or not, but I know that there's a big shock coming. Like the worst thing in my life has not happened yet. The worst thing in my life is death. And it hasn't happened yet. So I already know that there's a future called death. And, Freud talked about this awareness as really coloring people's, being at a core root. Was it Freud? It might have been somewhat later. Don't quote me on that one. But early psychology. So we do understand some of our shadows. But my point with you today on this show is that I am in a very difficult situation. It's very difficult. It's really hard. But my attitude is to practice as a yogi. Have an inhale. Let go of the karma. Exhale. Just be empty, free, open, pure, unreferenced awareness. You don't have to be it, because according to the teachings, this is what we already are. We're the fog to see ourselves clearly. We're going to do that. We'll ask ourselves, who is it that's looking? Who are you, my Zen teacher said to me once. I said, give me a koan. He said, who are you? And I went, okay, well, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, fucking get the fuck out of here. I gave you the koan. Go babble in your own head. We're going to do it. Cut right through it. Right? Here we go. Inhale. Fill up completely and a little bit more with a relaxed throat, with a relaxed body, with relaxed energy, with relaxed mind. Exhale, let it go. Coast. Sail. Notice pure empty space. Jump back. Hi! Who is it that is having this meditation experience right now. Inhale. Exhale, release. Right now, life on life's terms is as it is, regardless of how we want to color it. Eckhart Tolle, the power of now. This is a path to follow. Life on life's terms, life as it is, presenting itself the next right thing. Have a moral compass. Have 12-step principles. Have a spiritual guideline. Have some personal ethics. Lead by your heart, and not your ego, not your defense mechanism, because we got to know as practitioners the interdependence of every being in the cosmos. We all suffer. We're all born and die. We're all tormented. We're all seeking escape. We're seeking asylum. We're seeking refuge, people. Refuge in the Buddha, refuge in the Dharma, refuge in the Sangha. Hey, let's dedicate the merits of this practice and all the practices we do to the full and complete and supreme and total liberation of all beings, every single kind of being in the cosmos, in all cosmoses, in all imaginable and unimaginable form and formless realms, in all the hells and the hot, hot hells and the cold, cold hells, and all the in-betweens. Everybody, without exception, we are all in this together. Omaha. Everybody, peace out and namaste.